The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Yes, welcome back to Dawn of Sports. This is our show starring Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. Brandon Morton is our producer. Best way to listen to this show or any show you like at talknorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. We do appreciate it. We always talk about the Minnesota Aurora. We always talk about the Minnesota Lynx. But today we will be talking about two teams on exceptional runs to start. Minnesota Timberwolves, 6-0 in these playoffs, and the Minnesota Twins, who've won 13 of the last 15. I would say the latter is a little more unexpected. But Dawn, you covered the Celtics. You've been around great basketball teams. I have never seen a team perform defensively the way this Wolves team does. And listen, Anthony Edwards has had an incredible postseason. Cat's having a great postseason offensively. But what I've never seen before is defense like this.
Oh, absolutely. And right when another team starts to gain speed, especially here in the postseason, they shut it down. And that's what I really liked. It reminds me of when I was little and you're watching the Celtics play. Let me tell you, when you're just like, oh, they're just going to come fight back tooth and nail. Whether it's a block, whether it's a turnover, whether it's in transition, I've just enjoyed how much the Timberwolves have. And let me just tell you, it's not just one player. Like Rudy Gobert, yes, Defensive Player of the Year, but the way Ant has changed his defense, the way all of them have. I hate the term, Jim, and I don't know if you do, but they buy in. It's not like they bought into the defensive system. They breathe it. And and of course, if you have great defense, it sparks the offense in transition. And that has been a joy to watch as well, especially when Ant has gone off here in the postseason. And he's not alone, whether it's Naz Reid or whatnot. But you're absolutely right. They have been a joy to watch, not only offensively, but defensively.
Yeah. And we have an interview with Michael Grady coming up, the great play-by-play voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And we talked with him a little bit about this. This is a really good group of people to spend time around. Very pleasant, very connective, very giving of one another. Connolly brings that in. Finch breathes it. The staff is that way. You can feel a real connectedness between these people. You don't always feel even among some other good teams in pro sports.
No, absolutely. And, when you talk about the feel good, it's not just that they're buddies. They call each other out on stuff. Maybe Anthony Edwards is the only guy that can call Cat out on his defense or lack thereof sometimes, or getting foul trouble. I love that in that post-game press conference when he was like, dude, you just have to stop fouling. And that Cat acknowledged it, but also took it as a brother, like loving it and smiling. There's not many people that can call out Karl Anthony Towns, and he can laugh and enjoy it and know that it's coming from a good place. So, and that's not the only situation. You can just see how they all talk to each other and how, Jim, quite frankly, they've pulled together with this whole Chris Finch injury, you can see that they're still all together, and Mike and Nori is really doing a good job. So it's not just the players, it's the whole team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And by the way, we want to let you know we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We want to thank our longtime sponsor, Rudy Luther Toyota. Also, Beta Bay Boat Club. one of our newer sponsors across the TalkNorth.com platform. Reminder, John Krasinski on the Wolves, Michael Russo on the Wild, Roy Smalley, Lavelle Neal, myself on the Twins, Jeff Diamond, the former Vikings general manager, on the Vikings, the Viking Update Show with John Krasinski and myself. We have all kinds of great stuff. Mike Grimm on the Gophers, outdoor content. Check it all out. Any show you like, please subscribe to. Again, TalkNorth.com is home base for everything. Let's get to now the Twins. We're going to be talking about the Timberwolves a lot for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Twins go on a 12-game winning streak, frankly, with a bunch of utility players and call-ups while their roster was devastated by injuries. To me, that is one of the most unlikely winning streaks I've ever seen. And I give a lot of credit to Rocco Baldelli for kind of patching things together. I think, Rocco's first year here, he had a plug and play lineup. They set a record for home runs. He didn't have to do a lot of managing, in terms of in-game strategy. Since last year, when he realized that team wasn't going to win if he just ran out the same lineup every day, and he leaned heavily into platooning, pinch hitting, mid-game changes, since late July, they've been one of the best teams in baseball.
They have. And just like the Timberwolves, though, Jim, they've also done it with some great defense lately, too. And I'm recalling Max Kepler playing that ball off the wall and just humming it in there to Correa to pick Smith off at second, where you're just like, wow, they're really pushing it defensively. They're focused, and it doesn't matter. Like you said, give Rocco some credit, who he has to plug in the lineup. They, too, seem to be keeping it loose, but staying focused on the task at hand. And that's always not easy to do when you're doing a patchwork lineup.
We've had a lot of great shows on this. We've had a lot of great guests on this show, thanks to Dawn. Today's guest, Michael Grady, play-by-play announcer for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Great guy. You'll enjoy that interview. Last week, we had Lindsey Young from Viking.com on. We've had everybody from Jim Cotton, Mike Tirico, to real movers and shakers in the local women's sports scene, including Natalie Darwitz, who has the PHWHL team in the playoffs. Check it all out. Quick mention for the Minnesota Aurora. First home game, May 30th at TCO Performance Stadium. That's in the Vikings facility against RKC Third Coast. We've been talking about the Aurora a lot because they deserve it. And incredible what they've done with that franchise. Go to Minnesota Aurora's website or Ticketmaster to find tickets. They usually sell out. I recommend getting them ahead of time. Great place to bring your kids. Great place to go if you just like soccer. In terms of the Minnesota Lynx, because we always want to highlight women's sports as at least part of this show, I think the person to watch this year, we know that McBride's a good player. We know that Uhas is a promising player. We know that Collier is a great player. I think Courtney Williams, how she and Natisha and Heidemann end up handling the point guard position. Can they finally settle down the point guard position for a roster that has been struggling there since Lindsey Whalen retired? That's the person I'm watching this year.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's no disrespect to any other point guard that has come in after Lindsey, but you're right. The way just to kind of button it down. And I think watching Fee right out of the gate, we know she's going to be great, but you need someone of a caliber that can still maintain the floor. So I do agree with you. And I also want to see how their draft pick, Healy, I want to see how she really kind of comes to fruition. I know in the first preseason game, she only got 2 points. So I'm really interested to see how she grows her game as well. So that's going to be interesting. And, coming up here, it's going to be interesting with Cheryl leaving to go coach in France. So how can they stay together and how can they continue to form during all that will be something to keep an eye on as well.
Yes. And as far as Peely, Cheryl put herself out there with that draft pick because she could have stayed where she was and taken Angel Reese, who is a pretty, plug and play performer. Peely's a little more of a project. So we're really interested to see how she develops over the years. I don't think we should make a judgment on that early in the season, but over time, it'll be interesting to see who has the better career.
Exactly. As for Aurora, I want to do a little plug. You can watch all the Aurora home games on Fox 9 Plus. So we love that very much. And coming up, we have this new show, Jim, that I debuted last weekend. We had Cheryl and Carly Knox on the show. It's called Unscripted with Don Mitchell. It's on Friday nights at 10:15. It takes a place of my Sports Now show, and it's where I can have almost like how you and I have been doing this the whole time, but sit down interviews with these players and coaches and just get to know them a little bit. And I do sit down, speaking of Minnesota Aurora, coming up, it'll be right before their home opener, the Friday beforehand, with their brand new head coach, Colette Montgomery. We've had her on the show here. I had her on for unwritten and for unscripted with a nice unwritten segment where she kind of talks about very much what we spoke a little bit, but about like how she came to rise through soccer. People think, oh, how do they get this coach? Or how do they get this coach? Because I think in such a new team like Minnesota Aurora that's been founded, people are like, how do you find these coaches? So we talk about that. And this Friday coming up, if you're into a basketball, which I think a lot of people are, we have Ryan Saunders. So he's an assistant now at the Nuggets, coming back here to Minnesota for obviously the playoff games that's coming up Friday. But he talks about how he fulfilled the dream of winning an NBA championship last year with the Nuggets. And we talk about how proud his dad, Flip, would have been. So we got a lot coming up on Fox 9 as well, if you guys like to tune in. So thank you for that, Jim.
Congratulations. That's really good stuff. And Ryan Saunders is a really good get right now.
Yeah, we talked to him in full disclosure. We talked to him before this had happened. So it was a couple months ago. So it just kind of seems to be, wow, what fortuitous timing to let this unleash. But yeah, great family. Great to hear about Flip again. So it'll be probably an emotional time for him to come back and be in this situation this weekend.
Yes, and Ryan's a good guy. Everybody in the league gets fired at some point. It doesn't reflect on him as a person. He's really a really good human being, and he's a really good coach too. He's going to get another chance to be a head coach at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have an FTG this week?
Oh,
I
FTG.
do. If you don't,
I don't. Who is yours?
Well, mine is Jamal Murray. This guy,
that's a good one. Yes, exactly.
He acts like you're not allowed to play defense against him. There was one time he's bringing the ball up the court. Two Wolves are all over him, but they're not fouling him. They're just playing him tough. And he starts flailing his arms as if, I deserve a call here. Then he makes the money signal at the refs, which should be a suspension. But the worst, every NBA player argues calls. Throwing something onto the court where one of your teammates or an opponent could step on it, slip, and hurt themselves. That should be a suspension. The NBA chickened out by just fining him $100,000. He should be suspended.
I was surprised too that he wasn't suspended at least one game. I'm not saying you got to throw him out for the rest of the series or whatnot, but at least one game. Yeah, because Jim, these fines players don't care about. They don't care about the fines. So
no, it's
I
like
agree with you.
$100,000 to them is like me or you. It's like $10 to me and you.
Right. And I kind of have I don't know if it's an FTG full on, but the Tom Brady roast, which was interesting. I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix or not. And he's a fellow Boston guy, but you see Ben Affleck go out there, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, but he was just whining the whole time. And I was like, come on, like FTG, this guy. And it's the first time I've ever thought, all right, one of my home guys like Affleck or any of those. I was just like, you're not adding to the show. So I don't know if you've seen it. Love to get your feedback. It's kind of it's not for the faint of heart, that show. Let's just tell you that. Or the faint of Kevin Hart either. Well,
I haven't watched it, and now I'm not going to watch it.
Oh, well, Ben Affleck is at the very end, but yeah, it is, when they go low, we go high. It was one of those, when they go low, we go lower kind of shows. So there are some very hysterical, funny parts, but a lot of it was low, but I did laugh. But with Ben Affleck is kind of like, okay. All he did was whine about people like dissing him, and it wasn't about him. So It was interesting.
Yeah. Hey, on one personal note, last time we played at Lynx, Don and all of her friends came out. We packed the place. We had a blast. We had scheduled a show for May 10th. That's Friday night. Timberwolves game has preempted that. We are moving to August 9th. So I think it's a Friday night at Lynx. We also have a bunch of other gigs this summer. Go to barcordsmn.com if you want to come out and see the band. We've had just a blast playing for people, and it's always free. But I know that Don, just in case anybody's listening to this show, is thinking about coming out Friday night, we're not going to do it because of the Timberwolves playoff game. Let's get to more important business here. Again, we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio, and we want to thank and really, truly thank them for all their support. Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
We also want to thank one of our newer sponsors across the TalkNorth.com platform, Beta Bay Boat Club.
Beta Bay Boat Club offers a limited number of season-long memberships in our private club and half-day or full-day pontoon boat rentals on Lake Minnetonka. Members have the opportunity to play on luxurious pontoon boats as well as a variety of well-appointed deck boats, speedboats, and offshore boats. Our daily pontoon boats are deluxe, custom-built boats with many amenities and comfortable seating for up to 14 people. Beta Bay Boat Club, Country Club Boating, 24 years in business and voted Minnesota's best 3 years in a row. Please visit us at betabayboatclub.com for more information. We look forward to welcoming you this summer.
Looking to spice up your adventures? Well, you're in luck. Meet Define Destinations, your local tour company based right here in Minneapolis-St. Paul area with over 25 years of experience crafting unforgettable group tours. At Define Destinations, they're all about making travel easy and oh so exciting. Their 2024 lineup is jam-packed with epic destinations and experiences that are hard to find on your own. From the sun-kissed shores of Croatia to the pasta paradise of Italy, they've got you covered. Plus, they include airfare, tasty meals, and must-see attractions. It's like a vacation jackpot. DefinedDestinations.com, where every journey is an adventure. That's DefinedDestinations.com, your ticket to an unforgettable experience.
Now, Don, let's get to our interview with Michael Grady. He's a great guy. He does excellent work. Just a great guy to have in the market. I hope he stays here forever. Michael Grady, Timberwolves play-by-play man. As promised, one of our favorite people, Michael Grady, TV play-by-play man for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's done a great job since he's gotten here. It's been a blast to both listen to him because he's good, but he's also covering the best team in town, maybe the best team in the NBA. Michael, thanks for joining us. This is Dawn's show. I'm going to let her start this off. We'll have you for about 10, 15 minutes. Once again, thanks for joining us. Dawn, why don't you start?
Well, Michael, first of all, thank you for this time during this craziness. And I know you just stepped out of the press conference to honor Rudy Gobert. So let's start with Rudy, since he's the news of the day today, getting Defensive Player of the Year again. He joins Dikembe Mutombo, Ben Wallace as the only 4-time winner. Obviously, the anchor of this team defensively. That has been just one, because there's so many different factors on this team. One of the major differences, what have you loved with Rudy so far this year?
I go back to the start of training camp, and I remember doing a number of interviews, and folks were asking me who's going to be, an X factor this season, or who is a newcomer that you have your eye on, and questions along those lines. And I kept reverting back to, I think we're going to see a different Rudy Gobert this season. And the reason I felt that is because I don't think enough was talked about a season ago of just what kind of a dramatic shift that is to go from a place that you've been for the better part of a decade, step into a new environment with new personalities, guys that play a certain type of style, and they have to adjust to your style as well as you acquainting yourself and getting adjusted to what's going on around you. And in addition to that, at the start of training camp, he wasn't 100%. I think he was dealing with a bulky knee. He had a groin injury during the season. Didn't have a great connection with his point guard in D'Angelo Russell. And it just led to a lot of questions being asked. You know, he can't help the fact of what he was traded for, but he got a lot of criticism, you know, a season ago. And then they make the deal to bring in Mike Conley. The chemistry started to improve. And then we never really got a true opportunity to see what this team is capable of at full strength. Cat missed most of the season. Nas goes down late. And of course, Jaden didn't play in the playoffs. And so I just really felt that with a full off season, coming in good shape, an opportunity for the guys to really connect, that we would see the best Rudy Gobert. And he's been brilliant. There was a poll on The Athletic that guys, you know, were listing him as the most overrated guy in the league. And I think he is one of the most underrated and underappreciated players in the NBA. And so I couldn't be more happy for him as a first-time father and now a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, playing and anchoring the best defense in the NBA.
And to bring this up to date, the way that, I mean, I was talking to another member of the Timberwolves traveling party this morning that said the Timberwolves defense broke the Suns and now looks like they've broken the Nuggets. I mean, even if we expected the defense to be good this year, I've never seen anything quite like what we've seen against great offensive teams the last 6 games.
It's really incredible to watch from an effort standpoint. And I think we all appreciate effort. I appreciate effort so much. And to see the way that this team scrambles, hustles. I remember a coach told me one time, you know, there's a reason why teams get 50-50 balls. You know, it just comes down to hustle, effort, and desire. And you are mixing with this squad natural talent with the instinct to give everything that they have. And this team is naturally talented defensively. They're swarming, they're being physical, and being a great defensive team all season long. We all really felt that once you get into the postseason, when there's not as much of an easier whistle, it's more physical in the postseason, that this would play in the Timberwolves' hands. And it has beautifully. In that sweep of the Phoenix Suns and in these first 2 games over Denver, they were the more physical team. They were the more aggressive team. And the fact that they were able to keep that going without their best defensive player in game 2 was awfully impressive.
Michael, we've also buried the lead here with Anthony Edwards coming to play. We know here in Minnesota, some people are just saying the national media is just finding him out. But you talk about a guy who's really worked on his defense this year. Michael, we've almost buried the huge lead here in terms of Anthony Edwards. We know here in Minnesota just how talented he is. Some people now on the national level seem to just be discovering him. But not only has he been the Ant that we know, he has taken his defense to an unbelievable level, and his whole level of play and ownership, and he's just made it also fun. What can you say about a guy like Ant, who has now just claimed it and has just elevated himself?
It's really wild to see a player this young whose killer instinct is being compared to a Michael Jordan and a Kobe Bryant. Yet Mike, I think he was, of course, beloved, you know, nationally, but those who know him, and we've seen in these documentaries, The Last Dance and things like that, he was kind of a scary guy. He wasn't the best teammate to be around. He got the most out of his teammates mainly through fear. Kobe Bryant was very similar. Again, beloved, of course, but during his time playing, especially after the Shaq years, he was he got the most out of his teammates through fear. To see Anthony Edwards with a similar killer instinct, be as beloved as he is in the locker room and be as uplifting as he is to his teammates, still demanding, but uplifting to his teammates is a really impressive combination. And there's so many examples of him upping his teammates, whether it be Cat or Rudy. But I'll just point out to what he mentioned in post-game, game 2, and giving a big shout out to Jaden McDaniels, who has 5 points so far in the series. He's around a plus 50 in the plus minus. And the way that he genuinely praised Jaden McDaniels, I have to imagine he appreciated that, greatly. And I remember going back to media day, and so many of the guys on the team said that Jaden McDaniels is my favorite teammate, and it's because of the sacrifice and the thankless job that he has night in and night out of going out and having the toughest defensive assignment and not necessarily getting a lot of offensive looks. And so for Anthony to acknowledge that on that stage, I thought was a perfect example of the love that he has for his teammates. Going back to his killer instinct, it's just he plays with exuberance, he plays with fire, he plays with a passion for the game that I think folks appreciate. And you couple that with all the work that he's put in to add things to his game with his natural God-given athletic ability. It's no surprise to me that he's one of the new faces of the NBA.
Yeah, just to follow and piggyback up on that, when you saw how Kevin Durant, in the midst of a game, was even smiling and laughing, like acknowledging that, hey, this is basketball. So it's almost like he had the respect and the love of KD, even though they were going at each other.
Absolutely. And, I go back with KD during our time together in Brooklyn. And one of the things I learned quickly about Kevin is he loves hoopers. He loves guys that just are passionate about the game. And that may sound funny to say to some when we're talking about NBA players, but there are a lot of NBA guys who are preoccupied with a lot of other things. And Anthony Edwards has a lot of things in his life that he's passionate about. But when he steps in those doors in the facility, over at Mayo Clinic, when he steps onto the court at Target Center, it's just basketball. And Mike Conley said this about him recently. He's the first one in the gym, last one to leave. It's just about hooping. And Kevin respects that. And Kevin has that fire in him as well. And I think he sees things in Anthony Edwards that he recognizes in himself. And so though the saying game recognized game, I think that was a classic example of that.
And one thing you're hitting on, Michael, is something I've noticed. A lot of people have asked me about this team, and I say, I've covered a lot of good teams. Good teams aren't always the most fun to be around. Sometimes you have somebody in there who, is productively difficult. I feel like this team, from Connolly to Finch to the coaching staff to the players, is about as pleasant a group as I've ever been around. I'm wondering what you think about that.
Yeah, I think for me, what I respect the most is that they are keeping the main thing. I've been around teams where they may have been pleasant to be around, but there may have been some bickering amongst the group. The chemistry wasn't that great, and it ultimately led to self-sabotage. What I appreciate about this group is that they truly care about each other. They truly ride for each other, even though we're talking about a number of different personalities. And they keep the main thing. And that's going out, battling, and competing night in and night out. There is no way that you see the defensive performance that we've seen all season, mind you, but there's no way that we see the defensive performance that we saw in game 2 if it weren't for the fact that they are so deeply connected on a string and care about each other and supporting each other. It's like a trust fall when you talk about how connected these guys are defensively. And I've got your back no matter what. I'm coming over to double. So I know someone else has got my back as far as scrambling once the ball rotates. They just really, really compete and battle for each other. And I appreciate that as a basketball fan so much. And they're just really a joy to watch. A guy goes down, a teammate will say, stay down until they go over there and help them up. The way that they support each other, the way that they, love each other and battle for each other, it's just really fun to see.
And I think Michael, that this comes into play when you see them win. They won without Rudy, which was impressive in the playoffs. And then when Kat was in foul trouble, they still won the game before that. So you talk about not even like literally going down, but a player may not even be there. And somehow, whether it's Nas, whether it's Nikhil, someone steps up and shows that they are just as much a fabric of this team as the other guy. Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, no question. And, I think it was in game one, heading into the fourth quarter, I think Rudy Gobert said something to Nas Reed, who was kind of struggling with his shot, had a few turnovers, and wasn't having a strong game through three quarters. And we all know how talented and gifted Nas Reed is as this NBA Sixth Man of the Year. And Rudy had mentioned after the game that he said a few words to him about blocking out all the noise and just going out there and being yourself. And Nas went out there and had a tremendous fourth quarter. And there have been so many examples of that, of whether it's Mike Conley saying something to a teammate, Anthony Edwards getting after his guys and encouraging them. All the veterans, the young guys, they all are uplifting each other, as opposed to, and again, I've just seen it with other teams where something's not going right with a teammate and guys pout, and it makes a bad situation go get even worse. And so it doesn't matter who it is, whether we're talking about a Jaden McDaniels and the support that he's going to receive and understanding that he's an X factor in this series and beyond, a Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench. It doesn't matter who. Jordan McLaughlin could get an opportunity, and they're going to uplift J-Mac. So it's just a truly connected team where everybody believes in each other, and it just adds a confidence that it doesn't matter, even if you're struggling for three quarters, you're going to have the support that you can come through when your team needs it most.
One more question for Michael, because Michael and I have to go over to Timberwolves practice. They still have a few games remaining, I believe. One thing I really appreciate is when I cover general managers, sports bosses who can prove they know so much more than the average fan or even the average scout. And two moves really strike me with Tim Connelly. A lot of people didn't like the Gobert trade when it was made. A year later, they had enough evidence they could really bash the trade. Connelly stuck with it. And the trade of D'Angelo Russell for Mike Connelly and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, an aging point guard and a guy nobody knew much about. And for that trade to have turned out as well as it does, two of the seven best players and what might be the best team in the NBA, he got for a guy that the Wolves wouldn't have even re-signed. I love watching Connelly operate. What's your impression?
Well, there are a lot of Twitter GMs and a lot of talking heads on television that have a lot of strong opinions. And as far as the talking heads, they get paid to give strong opinions. But no matter what people may feel in the moment, nothing matters except what we see on the basketball court. And as I mentioned earlier with Gobert, I felt like the assessment overall last season was unfair given everything that he was going through physically, mentally, and just chemistry and all those types of things as he got to know his teammates. The Conley trade helped out in a number of ways. I remember Conley walking his new teammates through the proper way to feed Gobert in the post, and that you have to bounce the ball at an angle and with enough force that it goes up toward his waist. If you're bouncing it towards his knees, that's not helping the situation. And I remember he was basically giving a tutorial on the floor. There were so many miscues before that in terms of getting the ball to Rudy, and it just led to a lot of frustration. So Conley, having had that connection over the years in Utah with Rudy Gobert, helped from day one in that regard. We saw flashes from Nickeil Alexander-Walker where you felt, okay, there could be something here, but it just depends on what kind of work he puts in to polish things and to keep things simple. And there's times with guys who have the talent to do, let's say, 10 different things on the floor that once you're in the moment, you can't, the decision making on what, do I make this behind the back pass here? Do I throw a lob here? Do I do whatever? And it's just, they really worked on him, and he put in the work on just keeping things simple. And it's just a real credit to Tim Connelly. It's a real credit to the guys who have put in the work, because it's one thing to bring those guys in. It's another thing for those guys to buy in. And it's another thing for those guys to put in the work to be as great as they can be for themselves, but also in terms of what's best for this basketball team. And I think it's been really impressive to see. As I said before, Rudy Gobert is one of the most underappreciated players in this league. We've long known that Mike Conley is the most underrated point guard in the NBA, not just for his play, but also as a teammate whisperer. And I think that's evident in him winning NBA Teammate of the Year award, getting the NBA Teammate of the Year award. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker is perhaps the best bargain in the NBA. Signed a 2-year, $9 million deal in the offseason. And he is an absolute menace on the defensive side of the ball, as we've seen. And when he shoots these three-pointers, I'm more often than not expecting them to go in. He has been an unbelievable X factor for this Timberwolves team during this run.
No doubt. Hey, great work on TV the last couple of years, Michael. Also, Timberwolves fans, check out Timberwolves.com. Mike does a great job emceeing all of these awards that we see the Wolves winning these days. He handled Rudy Gobert's press conference on Wednesday morning. Check that out as well. Michael, thanks so much. Continued success, and we'll see you over at practice.
Yes,
Appreciate
flowers to you, Michael. People say protect him at all costs. He's made this so much fun to listen to. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Love is reciprocated. Thank you all.